All right, we're joined now by our panel. HogZone contributors Kevin Luthinger and Jim Harris are here to break down disappointing is the first word that comes to mind, loss to Liberty. Kevin, we'll start to you. How disappointing is this? Hogs came in as 2 touchdown favorites that feel maybe a little too big, but still.
That may have been too big, but to me, I think this is the most disappointing loss in Sam Pittman's head coach as Arkansas Razorback. They come in here, they've been on the road for a while, they finally come back home, get ready. This is the first game in a big stretch at home. And then to just lay an egg, once again, the offense starts out slow. The defense kind of gets pushed around, and motivation. Pittman talked about it after the game. And how do you not come up for this? This is homecoming. This is a chance to really get down the stretch and start November right, and just lay an egg.
Well, some of it was motivation, but some of it was that the front six for Liberty was just that much better than Arkansas's offensive line most of the day. I thought that their quickness and their strength and just the way they played their stunts, either crashing the ends down, they were taking away that read option early. They wanted to early on, make Arkansas wonder how they're going to get their rushing yards, and then they would run some twists. Arkansas's linemen, they weren't motivated maybe to play like they should. Self-motivation, because they're all upperclassmen. They just never adjust, and they've seen this before. This isn't new stunts that they saw today. They just never did adjust, and some of it was just because that was a quicker, better defensive line than I think they've seen.
You just don't expect to see, and Liberty has a good defensive line, but you don't expect to see a non-Power 5 school come into an SEC stadium.
You don't, but Hugh
and beat
Freeze
you up in the
recruits.
trenches.
He recruits, and he's gotten a lot of great transfers. They had an Auburn transfer that he could have come to Arkansas. He went to Liberty. There's a lot of transfer portal guys on that Liberty team that they've done a great job of recruiting, and Arkansas didn't. I still contend all season long that the biggest problem with this defense is not the secondary, it's the defensive front. The linebackers aren't as good this year as they were last year, and the defensive line's not even close to what it was last year. And still, it wasn't the defense that lost the game. It was the fact that what they see in practice each day, they go head-to-head, one-on-one, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And Arkansas prepares a lot for the opponent on Saturday by what the offensive line's doing, the ones against the ones. Arkansas doesn't see the quickness in their own defensive line that they see and really it hadn't happened much.
Yeah.
It's only been maybe Mississippi State, certainly Alabama. Texas A&M had a decent defensive line, a young one, and then today. They really haven't had a real challenge with defensive fronts until today, and in a while.
Exactly, and Sam Pittman kind of said after the game he felt some of KJ Jefferson's issues weren't the offensive line. He had time to pass. It was decision making. It was holding the ball maybe too long. This you could argue one of the worst games we've seen from KJ in a race.
Something wasn't right with him. Either the shoulder. It took him a while to get the arm, fully warmed. He was behind again on his throws. They ran a 4th down play. That's really a hard pass for him to complete. Trying for Keytron Jackson early in the game. It turned into an easy short drive for a touchdown for Liberty. That's a huge play when you look back on it.
Well, and they talked about in the postgame that Sam Pittman was sore coming into the game. That's football. You're in the SEC. You're going to be sore at this point in the season. But to me, he didn't look injured. I'm sure he's a little injured, but I think you kind of hit it on the head. He looked confused. He was holding on to the ball. I don't think Liberty was doing anything that much different. He just was making poor decisions, and then when he did make the decisions, the throws were a little overthrown. He just looked off today, and I don't know if that's coaching or KJ, just something was off all day.
Well, it's from not throwing all week. He didn't throw the football much at all this week. I know he didn't throw at all on Tuesday, and they may have got him exercising his arm out some, but you can't.
But the decision making was also
his
not there.
Decision making has been off against certain defenses, and it's like Arkansas, either he doesn't see the separation when he's trying to go through all his reads, but there were guys that were open. People who could see the game and see it unfold saw receivers open. He couldn't find them, and it took really until the 4th quarter before they quit thinking and just started playing. And
it also doesn't help that
pulled it out.
He did find Trey Knox for a touchdown, and Trey Knox dropped it, turns into an interception. So that play right there changed a lot for him.
Yeah, but that play was pretty well played by that defensive back
It was.
too. I mean,
And I don't know if there was a miscommunication on the routes or something. Arkansas having two players within like a yard of each other in the end zone.
Well, there was
well.
that happen, but what about all the procedure calls on the line, the center snaps? There was some weird stuff going on all day.
Things you don't normally see
not
at
in,
home.
Not in Game 8. You might see them in Game 1, but this looks strange. There was some really, I'll bet there's some real soul searching going on among some of those linemen.
You know,
tonight.
and we know Arkansas fans are always cool and calm and collected after a loss, but you wonder, and it is KJ has some issues with the defense, but as a coach, as Kendall Briles, don't you have to get him prepared for that? I mean, if he has a defense that confuses him, it just seems like it's still confusing.
The offensive line coach has that job with his unit to have them ready. And I don't get that this was like a fallback like Missouri State. There's no way you look at Liberty and think it's a blowout. And unless they were looking at Vegas,
that way. It felt like they came out as a team that we expect to win.
Man, we're supposed to win this thing by 2 touchdowns.
And they got punched in the mouth.
Almost like they didn't necessarily look at Liberty, just looked at the name of the conference or lack thereof.
And then some guys just weren't. I don't know what was wrong with Rocket early in the game, but he didn't run the same way as A.J. Green. And when you look at these stats, A.J. Green had 6 carries for 56 yards, a 9.3 average, but he only carried it 6 times. I mean, where was – I know it got to a point in the third and the fourth quarter where they just about had to throw the ball on – at least every down or every other down, and maybe the carries weren't there, but Sanders had 17 carries, and he did have a good little stretch right before that interception. You know, Arkansas ran 3 straight plays, got it down about the 35-yard line, and then throw the pass to Knox that gets intercepted. It looked like there was some momentum change in there, and then it went right back to Liberty.
I don't think anyone would argue that this game is on the defense at all, especially with that shutout in the second half.
Yeah.
Still, in the first and second quarter, facing a guy who started the season as Liberty's third-string quarterback, what were we not seeing out of Arkansas's defense on those touchdown drives?
Well, I thought we saw a lot better in the second half, mainly because of one guy. If one positive came out of this game today, it's Quincy McAdoo.
Clarendon's own.
It took 8 weeks, but they finally found, in my opinion, at least today, a competent playing cornerback that also blocked the punt too. Made a tremendous play there. You almost wish maybe it hadn't been blocked so good, and they could have fallen on it for a touchdown because touchdowns were so hard to come by at that point in the game. But I mean, he played great. But early in the game, well, Arkansas gave them a short field on that second touchdown. And then on the third touchdown, that came after the interception. So there was a momentum swing that sort of fell over on the defensive side, I thought, and they gave up some big passes down the field. They didn't throw in the second half, but like 1 or 2 passes really deep down the field on the defense.
Douglas, that receiver, I mean, he racked up 110 yards. That's an NFL receiver, it looked like.
Yeah,
for
145 yards.
And I think he had 100 in the first half.
Yeah.
That was probably a big – in the second half, they really kind of bottled him up a little more. And then it didn't hurt that their running back for Liberty also gets hurt, and their starting running back didn't play in the second half.
Yeah, they lost Day-Day Hunter in the first half, and that changed things for them as well.
It's just that start. I mean, I keep going back to the first 4 possessions, 3 of them are 3 and outs, and the other one that wasn't was a 5 plays and punt. I just don't know how you come out and look that flat at home at homecoming. I know, and Sam Pittman looked more fired up than I've seen him on the sideline than usual. And he kind of put the onus on the coaches. They have to be the ones that get the motivation, but it's a constant thing. You've seen Arkansas put together quarters here and there. We've never seen a full game from them, and maybe they're just not the team we thought they were coming into the season.
Liberty, their coaches, their players all wanted to make a statement. As a game against the SEC, never beaten the SEC before. You hear Hugh Freeze talked about Auburn, or maybe if another job opens too, you hear about that he might be there. His coaches had motivation too. They came out fired up, and Arkansas simply did not take the field, at least offensively, with the same. They didn't match them.
It actually, and you bring that up, it gave me that same feel as, in bowl season where there's one team that's pumped to be there and another team that thought they could have got to the playoffs. That's what that game felt like. It looked like Arkansas was like, we got to get through this game and then we'll play LSU. And Liberty's like, we're about to come out and make a statement. And they did.
And they finally make a play. The fourth quarter looked like a team desperate to win. They gave it an effort. you know, it becomes a judgment call on the goal line.
Now you have to imagine that this is a team desperate to win anything the rest of the way.
They got to win one more.
One game for bowl eligibility.
Is there a win still? I mean, those are 3 tough teams ahead.
They're 3 winnable games, but they're also very losable.
They could be winnable. You get each team in the next 2 weeks come off the Alabama game.
Yep.
LSU's going to be playing next week, fresh off tonight. Ole Miss plays Alabama next week, and then they'll be fresh off it. So maybe that'll work in Arkansas's favor. And Arkansas can probably do more against Ole Miss's defense than LSU's. LSU will present the toughest front 6. If today was tough,
well, Liberty gave the blueprint.
Next week will be really tough. And then Missouri is really at home and coming on. They play hard on defense.
Drinkwitz does have him playing hard.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
So let's ask you guys now our poll question that we've been asking our audience. You kind of started to get to it there. Arkansas 3 games left, all against SEC competition, at home against LSU and Ole Miss, then on the road at Missouri. Do they have one more win in them and bowl eligibility, Kevin?
They will make a bowl game. They're going to win one of the next 3. Coming into this Liberty game, I thought they had a chance of running the table. I now don't think that's a possibility. I think Sam Pittman probably will. He looked really upset after this game, and especially to see him out-coached on the offensive line and out-beating the trenches. That's kind of where Sam Pittman's bread is buttered. I think they come out and play good. They're going to get a win against, maybe not LSU, but against either Ole Miss or Missouri. But I think it's one of the next 3 probably now.
Well, I hope it doesn't come down to coaching. I hope it really is just talent. But I think there's some really good coaches ahead that they face, at least in the 2 home games. And then they go up to Missouri where they've never won before. And and if that's the game for bowl eligibility on a Friday, I don't know. I could see 0 for November. I hate to say that, folks.
So if you had to say yes or no, they make a bowl game. What do you?
I'm going to be positive for the fans that are watching and say they're going to win one of these 3.
There we go.
But I don't feel great about it.
Yeah.
I felt really good about betting the house on Liberty though this week and taking the 13.5 and. That's why I'm mad tonight. I'm kicking myself. I did win.
That's why you're here tonight.
I did win. I did win a lunch.
There we go.
I won lunch from somebody.
At least something positive came out of this one. All right, you can go to our website, thv11.com, to vote in that poll.